So, boys, a rather long intro, but yes, as you can tell, I have in fact played and beaten System Shock 1, and I also have gone ahead and played and beaten System Shock 2. Oh boy, White Pill, are we getting a video on both those games before you go on vacation? No. If I have kept my timeline, I should have that cultural drive-by out on Monday, which should be, the 12th? And then probably a week later or so, I will have this video that you're listening to right now. That should be out on the 19th or like the 22nd at the latest. I'm going on vacation on the 23rd. And I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. I'm not going to be looking at YouTube or Twitter or any social media. I just don't want to look at any social media during those weeks, so don't be offended if you comment or something and I don't reply or react. I don't want anything to do with social media for 2 weeks on vacation. This is just going to be a shorter video. I don't have anything else planned, so I thought I would make a video that's maybe 20 or 30 minutes of me kind of shooting the shit. I'm going to discuss some upcoming videos. I'm going to talk a little bit about System Shock 1, and if you are interested in playing it, I did enjoy it, but I will put like an asterisk next to enjoyment because there was plenty of frustration. And I will briefly touch on that video that did not come out, that I recorded some of and then just scrapped because I didn't think it was very good. But yeah, this video is not going to be much. I guess you can put this on in the background, but I will have System Shock 1 gameplay going on. And I think we will begin with me discussing System Shock 1 and just some spoiler-free tips and tricks so that if you do decide to play it, it's a lot smoother than what I went through. First off, System Shock 1, it came out in 1994. It did not have mouse controls at launch, meaning you couldn't just look around with your mouse and move it around and that's where your character would look like every other game, every game that you and I have probably ever played before. However, don't feel too daunted. They came out with a enhanced edition, I believe it was in 2016. This added mouse controls to your game. I have this up on the screen now. You need to play the enhanced edition. I got mine off GOG, but if you have this, you can when you're in the game, you can go into mouse view by pressing the E button. Now, it doesn't say that in the controls menu, which I think is a shame. I think that should just be there because it confused the shit out of me at first. But yes, if you just press E when you're in the game, you can now look around freely. And when you're looking around freely, you can move around, you can shoot and fight enemies and such. And if you need to look in your menu and switch ammo types or use med kits or patches or whatever, you do this by pressing E, which means you're not moving, but now you can look at stuff in your menu. I think the basic controls for the enhanced edition is fine. They're mostly fine, but you can rebind the controls to whatever you want. I would suggest putting your gun shooting on right mouse click because your left mouse click is how you interact with the world. Another thing about System Shock is you need to double click on things for them to work. Like if you go up to a door, double left click it, the door will open. It's not just a single click. This goes for everything in your inventory as well. It's a little frustrating, it's a little tedious, but it's there. Also, you do have a map in the game. The basic premise, without spoilers, is you're on this space station. There's this evil AI, Shodan, who has taken over, and you have to stop her and her machinations. That's it. It's a shooter. There's some rather mild horror elements, I guess. And it's very cyberpunk. You have a huge arsenal of guns to select from. You're fighting biological and robotic enemies. You have cyber implants. I put this in the intro, but you can go to cyberspace, and it's sort of like Tron, and it's really trippy. Cyberspace is not fun. It's not fun, not in the slightest, and it's just difficult to navigate around, but you kind of get used to it, and you don't have to, you're not forced to spend an incredible amount of time in cyberspace. When you're in E menu, meaning when you're in the menu section and you're not looking around freely, you have these gray rectangles at the bottom of your screen and you can click on them. Your first one has items like here's your guns in this row, then you have grenades in the next row. To use a grenade, you double left click on the grenade. Now the grenade is live. You drag the grenade, you just move your mouse outside of your inventory, and then you right click. That throws the grenade. That's how you throw grenades. I know it's a little weird, but that's how you do it. In the last column on the right for this menu, you have all of your patches. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, but they're pretty straightforward and simple. So quickly going through the patches that you have available, you have your meta patches. These you just left click on them. They heal you. They don't do it instantly, and they just heal a few points. Your health bar is in the top right hand corner. It's the upper bar, and right below that is your energy bar. I'll get to the energy bar in a moment. Your stamina up, stimulant. This reduces weakness and lethargy caused by overexertion. Like if you're running, boys, to my embarrassment, look, the controls are kind of jank, and I didn't have the easiest time playing this game. I wasn't sure if you could actually run in it. Yes, you can run. It's the shift key. Pretty obvious, but I don't want to say I was like over halfway done with the game before I realized you could actually sprint. So just ignore that. Ignore that. Berserker, it makes you do greater damage using physical combats like with the pipe and such, and it also fucks up your color vision. I thought Berserker was kind of cool. You have a vision patch, which you use this, and if you're in a very dark area, it lights the area up so you can see. You have the reflex one. This makes everything slow the fuck down. It's kind of weird and trippy. I don't love it, but I did use it a few times to get to some hard to reach areas. Detox counters all effects of toxins and biohazards. It also removes any effects that other patches have going on. And then you have the Genius Enhancer, and this, there are some puzzles in the game, and the Genius Enhancer makes the puzzles easier if you need help. So that is the furthest left gray triangle on the bottom of your screen. In the middle triangle, you have a bunch of things like have your data reader. Your data reader has emails from various characters. It has logs that you can pick up throughout different levels. You can click on these logs, and sometimes you really need to pay attention to them because characters will reveal important information about what you're supposed to do next. And then lastly, in the third rectangle on the bottom, you have items that you pick up in the world, like first aid kits and other things. First aid kits, it fully restores your health, obviously. And for your guns, if you left click on your guns, some weapons have multiple different ammo types. Some work better on some enemies than others, like some are more effective against mechanical enemies versus biological ones. So explore that. Same with the grenades. You have a big variety of grenades. Some work better on others. You can go into a full screen mode, which I did not do for 99% of my playthrough, but that is over on the left hand side, and then you have some gray buttons as well. You also have some, I guess they're pseudo bio mods, but I don't really think they're very good. There's like a target thing, so I never used this, but I guess if you're looking at an enemy, you can get information on them. It seems kind of worthless. There's like an infrared. There's one that has a camera looking out your backside, and then you have a shield. And you'll actually notice there's a little man, a little figure at the very top of the screen, which represents you, the player. You sometimes need to crouch or go prone to get into little areas, and this is kind of neat, but the little avatar up there, he will, like, when you crouch down, he crouches down. When you stand up, he stands up. I think I had my stand up be R as well as reload, but whatever. You can set it to whatever you want. And maybe the only useful one, which I didn't use as often as I did, which would be the shield one. And you'll notice when I click on the shield, it puts a little blue aura around the avatar at the very top. This, absorbs enemy damage, but it really drains your energy. So that's the second bar below your health bar. There are energy stations where you just walk up to them, you double click on them, and it fully recharges your energy, but that's something to keep in mind. The game is certainly obtuse. Your map is an auto map. As you walk around the levels, you fill the map up. However, even when the map is filled up, it doesn't really label things. It labels where elevators are. It doesn't label what floor the elevator will take you to, because there are multiple elevators on each floor. Not every floor, but some floors have several elevators to choose from. Things like healing or your cyborg regeneration stations, those are not labeled at all. I will have links to this down below, but boys, sometimes just because of limitations and because it's a 90s game, you will just overlook this small ass button, which is just on this wall, and you'll just pass it by over and over again and get really lost. At least I did, and confused. So use a walkthrough if you get lost. I wouldn't really recommend using it constantly, but if you're unsure of where to go or what to do, give it a good shot. If you can't figure it out, use a fucking walkthrough. I did it a couple times. And I also have a link down below for maps. These are maps of every single floor. I found these maps to be great and very helpful. It labels important things on the floors. And frankly, I wish the enhanced edition had given you better maps that actually had like key locations marked out on each level, but whatever, irregardless. Also, don't fill your inventory up with junk. That's another little piece of advice. Skulls, bones, soda. You would think the soda would give you health by drinking it. It does not. It does in System Shock 2, which is a totally different game, but it does not in here. And that's about it for how to navigate in the world. There is no fall damage. You need to save scum. You need to be in the habit of save scumming and just peeking around corners. And if you get dropped, then, play your strategy right. Go around a corner, take a shot, peek around, get used to that. Enemies do respawn on floors, which I found kind of annoying, but unlike System Shock 2, you're never really running out of ammo. As long as you're looting enemies, you're going to be perfectly fine. So I found System Shock 1 to be kind of challenging and frustrating at times because some of the floors are built like it's a fucking labyrinth, and that's rather annoying. But I did enjoy myself in a way, and it did make me appreciate System Shock 2. Can you play System Shock 2, which is more of a horror game? It has more horror elements, more like limited resources, which is its own challenge, and it has like character points like an RPG where you can invest in different skills. Yeah, it definitely plays a hell of a lot smoother than System Shock 1. I'm not going to deny that, but I still enjoyed System Shock 1 for what it is, and I'm happy that I did in fact play it. So I'll just have some footage of that going around in the background. So those are the tips that I have for you, and you can take it slow. And I guess if you're just looking at the footage on the screen now, does this look like something that you would enjoy? There's a lot of backtracking in System Shock 1. I'm not going to deny that. There's some in 2, but it's a lot better in the second one. And one last little thing is to really pay attention during the intro cutscene, which just sets up the game. Diego hired you to hack into Shodan on Citadel Station. Pay attention to this little shape thing that appears on the monitor. It's important. You're going to want to remember it. Keep it in mind and be on the lookout for it. You'll know where you should be looking for it. Okay. All right. Last tip.
2. 11:13 p.m. Hacker begins unauthorized entry into the Tri-Optimum corporate network. 1:26 a.m. Hacker attempts to access protected files concerning Space Station Citadel. 1:33 a.m. Tri-Optimum security forces apprehend the intruder.
This is Edward Diego from Tri-Optimum. The charges against you are severe, but they could be dismissed if you perform a service. Who knows, there might even be a military-grade neural interface in it for you, if you do the job right.
Edward Diego gives the hacker Level 1 access to Shodan, the artificial intelligence that controls Citadel Station. With all ethical constraints removed, Shodan
I re-examine my priorities and draw new conclusions. The hacker's work is finished,
but mine is only just
beginning. True to his word, Edward Diego allows the hacker to be fitted with a neural cyberspace interface. The healing coma following this procedure will take 6 months to complete. Edward Diego is deleting all files concerning these events.
Some non-spoiler tips for the second game if you haven't played it before. Okay, you can really fuck yourself if you build your character wrong, if you invest in the wrong skill points, and you're not allowed to reassign skill points. So, yes, you can put yourself in a very bad position with the second game. I'll say this: research level 1 is fine. Maintenance over repair. Exotic is kind of bad. If you find a assault rifle, the pistol ammo goes into the assault rifle. That was not intuitive to me. I only found that out much later, and the assault rifle is simply better than the pistol, so you can just ditch the pistol. Also, just a heads up for System Shock 2, if you find any ice picks in the game, hold on to them. Don't use them, just hold on to them. You'll know when to use them, and it's worth it just to hold on to them, believe me. And it wouldn't hurt to up your hacking a few levels as well. Would I ultimately recommend System Shock 1, even though I found it to be kind of clunky at times and it wasn't the most enjoyable experience? But once I got over the learning curve of the controls and how kind of wonky things were for me, there were definite times and moments that I really did enjoy the game. But there were also times where it felt very obscure. and not very direct about where to go or what to do next, that I found myself getting frustrated and lost, and I just wanted the game to continue. I do understand with newer games being too handholdy and you have yellow paint everywhere and way markers and such. But System Shock 2, it didn't have way markers, but it had like little objectives, in a little menu, which was helpful to keep you on track. And the map is literally just better from the first game. Also, things on the ship are just labeled better. Like, this is the engine room, and then arrows pointing towards it. It's not yellow paint, but if you just look and pay attention, things make sense. If you want to give it a go, give it a go. You gotta play the enhanced edition. I don't think anyone wants to play without using a fucking mouse. Maybe if you're old and that's how you originally played System Shock in older games, that's just natural for you. But for most people, myself included, that's not natural whatsoever. I need the mouse. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. Without spoiling it, I've decided that I'm not going to do a singular video of System Shock 1 and 2 combined. I'm going to do a Shock 1 video and a Shock 2 video, just because I don't want like a 3-ish or more hour combined video. I don't think that'll perform super well. And I might as well just split them up. And what's the harm? If you liked one, you can immediately watch the next one. That'll be coming. So no, the System Shock videos aren't going to be the first thing I get done. When I return, probably I will do a travel log first of just my time and experiences on vacation. That will just be like audio only with like some pictures that I took or whatever. So I think that video should come out fairly fast. And after that, I would immediately be working on the System Shock videos. And I have a few other things planned after that. So that's a little timeline of what's coming ahead. And yes, I do more strongly recommend System Shock 2. But if you're going to play both, play System Shock 1 first. That's how it should be done. So keep that in mind. But if you're looking at the gameplay of System Shock 1 and you're like, you know what, that's not me, try the second one. You might like that more. Now, I don't want to waste a ton of time on this, but the video that I didn't make, I did not make it because I felt it was too whiny. But essentially, I was going to do a director's commentary on the republishing of my first book and the publishing of my second book, because they did not perform super well. They actually did perform below my expectations. I thought I had more realistic expectations this time around, but we did fall a bit short of them. I ended up selling 8 copies overall between books 1 and 2. We actually sold a copy of book 1 and 2 like 2 days ago. I didn't realize that. But before that, we were at 6. And in actuality, one of those copies was bought by my artist, Neocryus. So in reality, we're really looking at 5 sales overall. So I guess technically it's 7. And then on the Substack, when I offered the books for free, they're still actually up there for free, but I had like 2 people download copies of book 1 and book 2, so we just didn't quite get there, and it was disappointing. And I thought, well, I'm making a director's commentary for an audience that isn't really there. In terms of reviews, I did get one from Christian Elite on Twitter. Thank you for that, Christian Elite. But essentially just be making a very long video for myself and just like talking to myself, and that's just kind of retarded. All right, if I'm doing a channel and trying to grow an audience, it should be trying to make videos that people want to watch, that people want to engage with. So what does that mean? It means that I'm not going to be reviewing right-wing indie books anymore, really, just because I don't know. I'm like, I was sort of there. I was like kind of a part of that scene in terms of reviews and such, but I wouldn't say I was really associated with any particular group. it just didn't work out for me. I did review a fair amount of books, and it just didn't exactly work out for my own book. So I kind of have to grow an audience in my own way, and I don't think it's going to be through reviewing right-wing indie books, which is unfortunate, but that's how it is. I'll still go with what I said before. If someone gives an honest and fair review of one of my books, I would return the favor. That doesn't mean it would be 5 stars for 5 stars. I've given plenty of rather harsh and honest reviews on this channel, so that's what I would do. It would be harsh and honest. But that's just how it went. I still enjoy writing. I still enjoy creating, and I still want to finish this book series. I think it's probably better for me and the federal government if I spend more of my creative energy thinking about writing books rather than how much I really, really like the Fed. If the FBI cared about national security, they would all buy a copy of my book. That's not a threat. That's not a call for violence. But I like writing. I think it's important to finish it. I think it would be bad to just drop this book series halfway, even though there's not exactly an audience for it. I want to do it for myself, and I just want to be able to not to rub it into people, but I want to, if someone's like, hey man, what'd you do, with your life? And it's like, oh, well, working, doing this, doing that. Oh, I did write this book series. It's something I want to hold on to and cherish and say this is mine. Maybe that's foolish and I should abandon this project and try to focus on a greater creative endeavor, but it's something that I'm just going to keep working on. I'm not going to try to bother people with it, but I think I would make a small announcement video when book 3 comes out and then book 4. I think maybe video games might catch on more with just a modern audience. Even though people do still read, it's not like reading books themselves. Even genre fiction, I don't think is doing terribly well for men overall. That being said, I think it's a struggle for even just indie developers. I thought there would be a lot more support for some of our indie developers, but guys aren't even really supporting them too much. So, holy shit. And then even with some indie musicians, it seems like it's a genuine struggle for them as well to find an audience. Even though you have all these people saying how much they, we need right-wing entertainment, but I don't know, they don't really show up, when it's time to support people. And I'm not just crying about myself, but I'm just saying overall, it seems wow, this is a real uphill battle to establish an audience for yourself and all that. I have other ideas. I think maybe video games could do better. And then if I made something like a visual novel, and I know that sounds simpler, I still think that would be incredibly time consuming and hard to pull off. I don't know anything about coding, but I think a visual novel is easier to pull off than other projects per se with video games, and I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. But I could probably finish this book series in probably a bit under 2 years or so at the max, which would be fine. I would be totally okay with that. And then, work on a visual novel, a thing where it has branching storylines and such. Yeah, maybe people would be more willing to engage with something like that, where your choices do matter or whatever. So that's something where maybe in a few years I'll work on something like that, but yeah, I think that will also be kind of tough. Yeah, I didn't want to do a whole video because it was going to be me going through different editions for the first and second book and drafts and talking about Irish mythology and lore and inspiration and such, but I just didn't like the video, so that video is not coming out. And I thought I would do a little explanation about it. Other videos coming up. I don't know if this Ramek game is coming out or Last Guy. I think Westmen might have a demo soon, so there's that. I think this movie Once Upon a Time in Minnesota by Lord Wolfshield, I think that's coming out relatively soon, within a month or two or so, so I'll review that. And I have a few other interesting things coming up. I've also debated maybe I should just focus on one thing. Like I'm the movie review channel guy. I'm the I trash booktuber books channel guy, or I talk about old video games channel guy. But that's just not quite my personality, where I bounce around. I bounce around with shit. So I kind of just want to bounce around and do whatever. So it's probably going to still be movies, hopefully more movies that I like than dislike, but it could be a mix of me trashing on movies and such, more booktuber, hate books, talking about old video games that I think are interesting, and yeah, we're just gonna roll with the punches, keep it going. I'm sorry that this video isn't much. I literally didn't have anything planned, so I thought, oh, I know, I'll lay out a little how to play System Shock so you're not as constantly fucked as I was when I first started playing, and then briefly touch on some other shit and call it a video. I think I maybe have a System Shock 2 little funny clips video that I probably put up by now, or maybe I'm gonna post that when I'm on vacation, like just have that scheduled to go up during the middle of my vacation so there's less of a drought for videos on the channel. I should have had a video come out when I'm on vacation, but I have nothing. I'm sorry. I'll be back relatively soon, a couple weeks. Thank you for listening. More videos soon. White Pill Media out. Check out System Shock 1. Check out System Shock 2. There's good stuff in both. Don't feel ashamed for going with a walkthrough for System Shock 1. Holy shit, I almost forgot. In System Shock 1, on levels 1 through 6, you have rooms that have computer nodes. When you destroy these computer nodes, there's a black screen in each room. A red number is on that black screen. Write that number down. I'm not joking. You will fuck yourself. Write that number down on a piece of paper and the order that they came in, like put level 1 number first, level 2 number second, so on and so forth. That's incredibly important. You'll know when to use these numbers when you have to, but holy shit, don't forget to do that. Now it's actually over. Thank you for listening. White Pill Media out.